Hello everybody. Today I'm going to do something different than what I've been doing for my past 4 videos, obviously. I'm going to be explaining Trick or Treat, or this deck. Um, I feel like a lot of people who have seen the video are probably like, what the hell is all this random stuff just thrown together? How are you winning these duels? You're probably just getting lucky, going up against noobs or whatever. And yeah, and I say that because that's mostly the kind of reactions that I get in person. Because whenever someone asks me, hey, what deck do you play? I always reply to them, Trick or Treat. And as soon as I say that, they automatically assume pure Ghost Tricks, so they'll be like, oh, Ghost Tricks. And I'll be like, and something else. Then they'll look at me like, what do you mean something else? And I'll say, Madolche Ghost Tricks. And they will give me a really funny blank stare. Like they have no idea what I just said. But yeah. So I'm just gonna sit here and explain my choices and why I built the deck the way I did. So starting off, I have one Madolche Chevalier. This guy, he isn't even played in pure Madolches, mostly because his effect doesn't really do much, because all he does is protect other Madolches from attacks. But the reason why I put him in here is because of MX Saber Invoker. And I'll explain the combos and stuff later on. Right now I'll just get through the deck list. 2 Messengelato instead of the usual 3 that would be for them. 3 Mageline, well she's kind of obvious because she's the searcher and yeah, so she's kind of an obvious choice. 2 Angelis, I feel that even in pure full Madolche, she does not need to be run at 3. 2 is a perfect number for her. 1 would be just kind of not good to run her at. So 3 I think is just going overboard, even in full Madolche, so 2 is a perfect number. 2 Madolche Croissant. I don't think full Madolches run this guy either, but he is really, really good. Especially once you have Ticket and Tiramisu on the field, you put him out and he becomes basically 23 once he uses his effect after. He becomes a 23 beater and he helps give in a lot of damage and he becomes a level 4, which there have been cases where I've had him as a level 4 and had a level 4 Madolche in my hand and could have gone to another Tiramisu. So I find him to be really helpful. He's not really one that you want to draw into, same thing with Chevalier, but if you do, he has enough attack to kind of handle himself for a little bit. And he's a level 3 also, so if you go with the cat, Mewful, and get this guy out at the same time, you can do quite a bit of things with him, so I find him to be pretty useful. Next is Hoot Cakes. 2 Hoot Cakes is perfect. 3 I think is overkill. 1 is not enough. It's Hoot Cake. Next 3 Mewfuls. Mewful is amazing. Mewful helps get so many combos off. Um, and he's level 3, which comes into play later for something that I'm going to explain with the deck. And I'll skip over him for now. And 1 Madolche Baffle, rounding up for the Madolche monsters. Um, Pure Madolches don't play this one either. I only play him at 1 because 2 and 3 is just not necessary. He's mostly just there in case I don't really have anything else that I can make or that I can get with Hootcake. Like let's say all my Chevaliers are used up, or my Chevalier and Messengelados are used up, and I just really can't get anything else. He helps because he forces an opponent's monster into defense position, and a lot of monsters these days have pretty low defense that can easily be run over. So let's say I have like Hootcake in my hand and no Mewful or nothing, so I could go Hootcake, remove something from play, bring out Bapple, put Bapple in defense, and switch the opponent's monster in defense, and then go into something, one of my rank 3s that could possibly run over their monster. So that rounds up the Madolche monster. The Madolche monsters. Um, they're pretty simple, I guess. I mean, they support themselves. They handle themselves pretty well. Moving on to the Ghost Tricks, 2 Jiangshi. I I'm debating about whether I should put Jiangshi to 3, because I feel that she, or he, whatever you want to call it, really helps with first turn moves. You put Jiangshi face down, and you pretty much have pretty good defense, because even if your opponent has something that could run it over, once it's flipped face up, if they don't negate it or anything, you can get Spectre, which is usually what I tend to go for, and Spectre will come out, you get to draw a card, and it helps you search through the deck more and helps you protect yourself for a couple turns. If I already have a Spectre or two in my hand, then I'll most likely go for Frost or Lantern out of the two, or Mary, depending on what they have. If they have a monster with like piercing damage or something, then I would go for Mary for like a next turn play, because it would be too late to use Mary at that point, I think. But yeah, so Jianxing is good for going first. Around mid to late game, eh, it depends on what's still in your deck. But he is level 3, and there are some good combos that I have with him. Even if I'm not using him for searching, I can use him for something else that I'll explain later. Next up is 2 Yukionas, or Snow Maiden, whatever you want to call her. She is amazing because she is a permanent Book of Moon, and one awesome thing that I love to do with her is you drop Mary and then bring her out. Because the opponent, if they have like really big monsters on the field that they don't want to be permanently face down, they'll see her come out and they'll be like, okay, I'm not going to attack anymore because I don't want to run into her and then have my monster put face down. That's how you trick people sometimes. Some people will just take it and then keep attacking after that, hoping that you don't have like Spectre in your hand or anything. But I personally like her more than Doll, and I'll explain that later, because as you can see, Doll is in the side deck. But I have a reason why I like her more, which I'll explain later when I'm explaining the side deck and everything. 2, Jack Frost. This guy, I like him more than I like Lantern for this deck. Because with this deck, I generally do not have a face-up Ghost Trick on the field for Lantern to use his better effect. Because the difference between the two, the main difference that I see is, Lantern is more for protecting Alucard. Once you have Alucard out, and you want to protect him, Lantern is the way to do it. But Frost is good for if your opponent clears your field, which has happened to me plenty of times, or if they're just attacking directly in any way, because it'll put their monster face down, and he'll go face down, he'll be an extra defense, and like I said, a lot of monsters now have low defense, so that can help you run it over later on, or if you're able to make Alucard next turn, then that helps you use Alucard's effect to get rid of that, and you know the rest from there. And like I said, Lantern, he's good for if you have Alucard, or if you're just getting attacked directly and you just need to use him. And he also makes good bait for Hootcake. Like if you're getting attacked and let's say your opponent has like 3 monsters and you use Lantern, that negates one attack and then another attack takes up destroying him, and then you get attacked directly one time. That's fine, because then let's say you have Mewful and Hootcake, summon out Mewful, Hootcake, remove Lantern, and you just go on from there. Next up is 3 Spectres. He's great. First of all, look at his face. He's just adorable and just so fun. Um, and I like the little picture I have of him down here too is just adorable. But he's great for drawing cards and being extra defense. Like, with him, you don't really go minus because as soon as you drop him from your hand, you draw a card to replace him. So, and you get something to protect you also. It's kind of bad when you draw into him without having a Ghost Trick on the field. And if I have more Madolches in my hand and I don't really need him, he does become sort of a dead draw at times. But I think keeping him at 3 works best for me. I tried him at 2, I didn't see him enough. Even with Jiangxing, I would sometimes draw into him without even needing Jiangxing, which made Jiangxing kind of pointless. So I found 3 to be a pretty decent number, the best number for him. And then 3 Ghost Trick Marys, of course. Mary is so amazing in this deck, mostly because of Magdalene. If I open up Magdalene and Mary in my hand, I have nothing to fear at all, because I'll just summon out Magdalene, get what I need to get, and my opponent will attack into her blindly, not expecting her to come out, because that happens sometimes. They'll attack Magdalene, and I'll drop Mary and they'll be like, whoa, wait, what just happened? So that really throws them off all the time. Mary's amazing. She is the best Ghost Trick card. If you're not counting Exceeds, she is the best Ghost Trick card. And I can't see running her any lower than 3, because 3... Yeah, she's a once per turn effect, but that is perfectly fine. And then 1 Effect Veiler. Just in case, you know, I need to stop my opponent from doing anything. Like let's say BLS or something like that. If I just need to stop them, it's Effect Veiler. Come on now. Allure of Darkness is in here, because it really helps. One thing that I really like to do is if I have Allure of Darkness in my hand and Jianshi's out, Jianshi flips, I like to get a Spectre. And the reason why I like to get a Spectre when I have Allure of Darkness is because Spectre helps you draw 1 card. This helps you draw 2 cards, so I'll draw the 2 cards and remove the Spectre from play. Yeah, I won't have a monster to defend myself, but hopefully those next 2 cards that I would have drawn into instead of just the 1 would, you know, help protect me or help me further along my move than just having Spectre there. 1 Dark Hole, 2 MSTs. I feel that 2 is a good enough number, seeing as how I also have Alucard who can pop back row, Tiramisu to just bounce the back row. 2 is fine. 2 helps. What I really try to go for when I'm using an MST is hopefully something like a Bottomless or like a Fiendish Chain, something that would really mess me up. That's all what I really care for when using MST. Because other than that, anything else face down that they don't use to stop me, I can just use Alucard or Tiramisu or Soul of Silver Mountain to take care of that. 1 Book of Moon. It's Book of Moon. 2 Madolche tickets and 2 Madolche Chateau. 2 tickets and 2 Chateau is perfectly fine. I have 2 Messengelados. Sometimes I'll draw into these and it'll be good. Sometimes I won't draw into them at all and I find myself in trouble. But with the way the deck is, more times than not, I'll always have a way to get it. Whether I need to use Mewful, Hootcake to bring out Messengelado, or Angeli, go into Hootcake, then bring out Messengelado. I have ways to get to them. 2 is a perfect number for each. 3, I think it would become a dead draw at that point. 1, I don't think I would ever see it, and if it gets destroyed, then I'm kind of SOL at that point. So yeah, 2 is a perfect number from all the time that I've been testing. 1 Bottomless, 1 Mirror Force. I just put a Mirror Force in there in case I need to protect something. 1 Ghost Trick out, or Ghost Trick Vanish. This is good for, actually it's honestly good for mirror matches, in case I have a face down monster, or Ghost Trick monster, or any face down defense position monster, and it'll protect it for that turn. If I need to use like Dark Hole or something, I can use that right before I use Dark Hole, so that way my monsters are protected. It's a pretty good card. 1 is enough. Any more would be dead draws at that point. I don't really use this card too much. Even at 1, it's still a dead draw. And if I'm going to side it out, or if I'm going to use my side deck, this would be the first card that I side out. It kind of hinders, it doesn't really hinder the deck, but it's not as powerful as, let's say, Panic. 1 Torrential Tribute. This card is good for comboing with this. Like, let's say if I have a Ghost Trick Field, then I can use that on my opponent. That'll protect them. So it's helpful for. 1 Deep Prison. It's just there because, you know, extra protection and whatnot. And 2 Ghost Trick Panics, or Ghost Trick Scare. This card is so, I love this card so much. I love having Jianshi face down and then flipping this up, flipping Jianshi, getting Jianshi's effect off, and then flipping one of my opponent's monsters face down. This is amazing. especially if I have more than one Ghost Trick monster and I can flip more than one of my opponent's monsters face down. That's awesome. I love that. And that really rounds it up. That rounds the deck up. I have 47 cards, 31 monsters, 9 spells, 7 traps. A lot of people may think that's kind of overdoing it, that 47 is too much of a number. Or, not even that they would think that, it's just they might think that for this deck, that's too much, it's not consistent. But, I'll have you know that it works. I have a way of it working. The whole system of the deck, the whole way that I formed it to be, the Ghost Tricks focus on the defense. The Ghost Tricks are the ones that stall it out, help the Madolches gather up what they need, and then once the Madolches are ready, they go all in. They're all offensive from there. I made the Madolches very offensive, that's why he's in here, Croissant. He's really powerful. Chevalier's, I think he's the one with the most standard attack beside Tiramisu. And yeah, so the Madolches are there for the offense, Ghost Tricks are there for the defense. So that's their synergy. I know just me explaining it makes it sound like nonsense, but it works. The main weakness of the deck is bad hands. That is really the main weakness. Besides things that stop special summoning, things that stop searching, those are like generic. That goes for most decks these days. But the main weakness is a bad hand. And that could be said for any deck, but this deck would have a higher chance of getting a bad hand, mostly because it's 2 mixed archetypes, and let's say I get a hand with like Bapple and if I get like these 3 guys in my hand, that would be horrible. But even when I have a bad hand, I still try to find ways to hold my own enough for me to get my footing and try to turn the game around, which has happened quite a bit. In fact, I think that happened in my first video, the one against the Prophecy Blue Eyes. That hand was horrible, and I held out pretty long until I was able to. Of course, my opponent also had a bad hand, so I guess it was just a battle of whose bad hand was better at that point. Anyway, moving on to the extra deck, 2 Tiramisu's. One is I cannot play Route 1 because if something happens to her, then that's not good. I was honestly thinking of bumping her up to 3 because in case something happens to the first 2, I still have a third one on backup. And there have been instances where I could make 3 in a game. I think I'm going to keep her at 2 for now, which is exactly why I have a third one in the side deck, in case I need to take something else out from here. Because the fact of the matter is, I don't use a lot of these cards. They're just in here just because, really. The main cards that I really focus on are Tiramisu, Alucard, Levier, and Invoker. Everything else is just there, I guess. One Pablo Operative. I use this in one of my videos just because, for the hell of it. I mean, I just wanted to try something different. I don't really need it, because the way I see it is, the only level 4s that I have in the deck are Madolches. So if I have 2 level 4s, which are only Madolches, why would I want to go into anything else besides Tiramisu? I mean, of course, if I don't have a Madolche in the graveyard already, then I could go into something else, because I can't use her effect anyway. But she's also the strongest out of the rank 4s that I have, so I could just run things over with her if I need to, but, you know, situations, they call for certain things. One Black Ship of Corn. Honestly, I'm thinking of just taking this out and putting in that 3rd Tiramisu and leaving this in the side deck, because, I mean, like I said, if I have 2 level 4 Madolches, why would I want to go into anything else? One Maestro who's there for like extra defense. One Soul of Silver Mountain. This card is actually pretty good. This card, basically, and for anyone that doesn't know, because it's one of those cards that people just brush over and don't really care about. Basically, he's a Go Yoko, I think it is for the Fire Fist, where you target a set, spell, or trap that your opponent controls, and it can't be activated while this card is face up on the field. And his other effect is when he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get another Earth monster. You special summon an Earth in face of defense. So he's actually pretty good. His attack is kind of weak, but what I like to do is with Bapple. Like let's say I have Mewful and Bapple, summon out Mewful, bring out Bapple, and then with Bapple put my opponent's monster in defense. Hopefully their defense is lower than his attack, and then yeah, detach. Hopefully block one of their spells and traps, attack, and then get his effect off and bring out whatever Earth monster I need. 2 Ghost Trick Alucards. He is great. He's basically like another MST or anything, because he can destroy any face down cards, period. Now, one thing that I absolutely love about Ghost Trick Alucard is that he is generic. And this is one of the main reasons why I run this deck the way I do. He's a generic level 3. If I really need him, and like let's say if I have Mewful and Croissant in my hand, I can go into Alucard with this, and I can start popping their face down cards and attacking with Alucard. Because he's generic. That's one of the main reasons why I love this deck so much, is because the majority of the cards are generic, except like him, he needs level 3 Earth, and Magdalene. But yeah, he's just basically generic. I'm so surprised that he was not made to say 2 level 3 Ghost Trick monsters. If he was made to say 2 level 3 Ghost Trick monsters, this deck wouldn't be as effective as I would like. Because that would mean that all I have is Jianxing to make him. I would need 2 Jianxings to make him. I wouldn't even run him at that point, because there would just be no point. But he's generic, so that really helps. 2 Leviaires. If you don't know the Angeli Leviaire combo, basically Mewful, Angeli tributes herself, brings out Hootcake, Hootcake removes her, brings out Messengelado. You overlay Mewful with Hootcake into Leviaire, Leviaire brings back Angeli, go overlay into Messengelado and Angeli into Tiramisu, and you just go from there. That's the basic play. I have a third one in the side deck because in case I need to switch something out. Like I said, these 2 are the main strategy that I try to focus on. I could have had a third Invoker, but I only have 3 warrior targets. 4 if you count the one in the side deck. But ever since Angeli came out and I heard people talking about this Leviaire combo, I decided to just focus on this combo rather than this one. But even though I said that, I still have 2 MX Saber Invokers, just in case like the first one gets bottomless or something, or whatever. It's there just in case, or if I don't have anything removed from play. Yeah, so he's there. Another thing that I really like, that I really enjoy about Invoker, is he's also generic. So what I love to do, and what I've done multiple times, is have Jianxing, and then flip Jianxing obviously, and then with like Mewful or Hootcake or one of them, go into Invoker. And that really would throw my opponent off sometimes, because they just would not expect that something like that to happen. But yeah, so that's always a good thing. Wind up Zenmaines is there. Fortune Tune, he's there, he's good. I like him, he's good for defense, protecting himself. And one thing that I love to do with Fortune Tune is have a Madolche attached to him, and then Ticket. Because his effect when he returns the monsters back to the deck, Ticket's effect goes off for that, so that's always good. And then Dullahan. I only have 1 Dullahan. I don't really go into him that much, but when I do, he helps. Because his effect happens on either player's turn, so he's there. Now moving on to the side deck. The side deck is honestly just a bunch of random collaborations, like kind of last minute collaborations in a way. These are cards that I have experimented with in the past and felt like they're just not needed, that they're better off in the side deck because they prove to be a bit too situational. So I have a third Messenger Lotto in here just in case I feel the need, like I really absolutely need it for whatever reason. I have it in there. Like, let's say I need to take out like a Chevalier. That's most likely who I would take out to put in the third Messenger Lotto. I have one Ghost Trick Skeleton. Ghost Trick Skeleton, he's just fun. Because when he's flipped, he just removes from play the top card of your opponent's deck face down. So, he's good. I like him. He's just fun. One Cat Girl, or Nico Musumi. She's good to have. She's one of the main Ghost Trick cards that I believe pure Ghost Trick decks run. Yeah, I enjoy having her. I just don't really have a use for her in the main deck. If my opponent is using like a pure level 4 deck, like one of those Utopia decks that focus on level 4 monsters, then she would be really good. Now, here's a little discussion thing. I have 2 Ghost Trick dolls in the side deck, because if I were to add her in, I would replace the Yukionas with the Ghost Trick doll. Now, some people may be wondering or trying to ask, why don't I just put in the doll instead of Yukiona? Because, you know, her effect, she puts all monsters face down. Well, the difference is Yukiona permanently puts it face down. Ghost Trick doll is only temporary. So, with that temporary face down, you have to be able to do something to get past those face down defense position monsters, because if not, next turn, your opponent can just flip them face up and continue what they were doing. You slowed them down for one turn. If you're not able to do anything on your turn, then you're kind of screwed at that point. Not only that, it also puts your monsters into face down defense position. And this is perfect in a pure Ghost Trick deck, when you want everybody's monsters to be face down. But in my deck with the Madolches and everything, if I have Madolches that are trying to go in for an assault, then yeah, I don't want them face down. I want them face up, doing what they gotta do. But she's good to have, just in case, you know. Like I said, if I'm going to replace anything, I'm going to replace the 2 Yukionas and put in 2 dolls. That's exactly what I would do. She's a great card. I just feel that she would be a double-edged sword in this case. I have one Frost. With him, I would replace a Lantern, just in case. This is actually good to go against Funny in Ghost Tricks, in case they want to start attacking directly with their mansion and whatnot. So they put my monsters face down and everything. Like I said, in this deck, I like Frost better than Lantern. So yeah, that's just me. An extra Tiramisu and Levier, I explained this earlier. One double summon. This is in here. I play with this sometimes. It's good in case they try to stop one of my Madolche plays. Like, let's say I try to normal summon Mewful and they like Solemn Warning it, and I have Chateau on the field, and it goes back to my hand. Then they kind of wasted 2,000 life points, because all I gotta do is just play this and just continue from what I was doing. And it also lets you set twice too, so for the for the Ghost Tricks, that works. A third ticket and a third Chateau just in case I need it. I know I said earlier that 3 might be too much, that it could be a dead draw at that point, but for side deck purposes, if I see that my opponent is running something like, I don't know, like if they have their own field spell things, then I'll put those in there. I'm not sure what I would replace, but I just have them there just because. I have one Ghost Trick house, or Ghost Trick mansion, only because in case I need to take a Chateau out for whatever reason, then I would put that in there for the Ghost Trick house. One Fiendish Chain. I was thinking of main decking this, but I feel I haven't needed it, mostly because I'm not too afraid of effects that much, or attacking. In fact, there are instances where I want you to attack. Like, when I want my Magdalene to be attacked so I can drop Mary, I'm not going to stop that from happening. Now granted, there are some monsters whose effects are pretty detrimental to the deck, and where I would want this, and like I said, if I'm going to side deck, I would take this out for any of these traps. Ghostrick Knight, I put this in here. I haven't actually played with it yet. I just like the way the effect sounds. The effect sounds pretty good, especially when this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, your opponent cannot declare an attack this turn. That's pretty good. The only thing about that, I'm not sure how this works, but what if they attack and then main phase 2 they MST it? I'm not sure how that would work, but so yeah, it's just in there. I might try playing with it later just to see how it goes. And Black Horn of Heaven, it's Black Horn of Heaven. It's a great card. That card's amazing. So yeah, like I said, the deck focuses around a sort of defense and offense balance. Ghost Trick handle the defense aspect, and Dolces handle the offense aspect. Which is why a perfect hand for this deck would be a mixture of the two. Like I said, the perfect hand has Magdalene and Mary in it. The probably most ideal hand that I would want is Muful, Magdalene, Mary, and probably a Chateau and Ticket. And the 6th card at that point wouldn't really matter. Because then I could get Magdalene and search out Angeli. Magdalene will get attacked, drop Mary, and then drop either Yukiona or Jianxing. So yeah, I have ways to do things. This deck is a fun deck. It's nothing to win tournaments or anything like that. It's just for fun. It's just there to troll, and you know, it's trick or treat. You know, they're playful and everything, and just look how adorable they are. Oh yeah, that's another thing. If you don't understand the name, why it's trick or treat, which I'm pretty sure you all do, but Ghost Tricks and Madolche, since they're like desserts, they're treats. So trick or treat. But yeah, so that's the deck list. It might change around in the future, later on. I don't have any plans to change it because I've been testing this deck for quite a few months now, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it just the way it is. I might try to move things around to try to make it a little bit more consistent, but if I can't, then I'll just leave it the way it is. Because I've had my ups and downs, I have my wins and my losses, every deck has, and I feel that this deck just fits my playstyle perfectly. Because I'm not the kind of beatdown player, I'm not really a control player, I'm more of just protect myself until I get what I need, and then go all out. Which is kind of beatdown. But anyway, that's basically the deck list for you. If you're wondering why I don't have any Maxis, why I don't side Maxi, some of these cards I don't want to draw into. I don't want to draw into this guy. I don't want to draw into too many of these. I usually don't want to draw into him and whatnot, mostly on account of using Ticket to bring him out. But yeah, so if you got any questions or anything, you can ask, comment, anything. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a ghost-terrific day.